So the other day, I met someone, and this person is they're considered to be a pretty big deal. And I wasn't nervous or anything, but they asked me what I do, and they asked me what my content's about. And I didn't have a great answer. It was kind of all over the place. I was kind of fumbling my words. I didn't sound confident. I didn't feel confident. And the person was interested in what it is that I do. And I've been really wondering the last few days, like, why was I not confident in my answer? And it's been really bothering me. And I've really been thinking about it. I didn't have a good elevator pitch, right? I didn't have a good, punchy, concise, 3 sentences, bang, bang, bang. I didn't have that. And I realized that I want that. So, of course, over the last 3 days, I've written one, which I will reveal to you at the end of this video. And while I was coming up for the answer to what it is that I do, I really started reflecting on just everything I've learned since I was a kid. I've said this ad nauseum. At 8 years old, my dad told me about Project Bluebeam and Anunnakis. You know, I've researched so much, right? I got a degree in philosophy. I got a degree in economics. I'm a smart guy, right? And a lot of times when you're learning, you abstractify the knowledge. And it exists outside of your reality. An abstraction, for an example, for those of you who might not know, if I have an apple, I have one apple. I have one apple. To abstract would be to take the number 1 away from the apple. So you just have one. To be able to abstractify things is a level of thinking that is, above. It's higher, right? Like, some people don't even have the ability to do that. And I've realized in all of this knowledge and all of these concepts that I've even invented, like the meta aeon of Lucifer and all this stuff, and I didn't invent it, right? I found they were revealed to me. And some of these things are amalgamations of various teachings that I find the way I define it a little different. And so it becomes my own esoteric framework. But I have realized through all of this, the abstractified version of it is no longer sufficient. Not because it's wrong, but because it's right. And what I mean by that is to know these things and to think about them in a way that is abstract from your own reality is a disservice to your own humanity. I am realizing that all of these teachings and some of these mystery schools, they really have an effect on our life. And I don't know why that's never really hit me in the way it did the last 2 days. And it's really been like a monolithic, like an epoch paradigm shift, Sam Hyde 2070 paradigm shift for me. Because I've always been somebody who brings forth knowledge, very rarely with an answer as to how to change it. And I think that's because everyone is so different, right? It's hard to give a blanket statement on how to fix something when it is so fundamentally broken. Because the way our reality is constituted, everything, truly every single part of it, is a lie. The way reality works with the spiritual dimension to it, when you understand reality is a multi-dimensional quantum being that has a spiritual side, every single thing that happens is spiritual and has a spiritual amplification and reaction and effect. When you know that, it changes the way you are. It changes the way you work, the way that it changes your being. And I think a lot of people who watch this channel are starting to see that. And one of the answers I gave to this person was that I explain the esoteric and the hidden side of reality that accompanies our own reality. And now he found that very interesting. And I think that you find that interesting too. That's why you watch the channel, right? I hope you do. My videos lately have been having like 95% like ratios, which is great. So I think I'm doing a good job in that area. And it's been really hitting me just how absolutely vile reality can be. It's really crazy. It's really, really crazy. It's really crazy. There are so many things that are happening, so many things that have happened. And it affects your life, your vitality, your being. It's the only thing we really have. That's all we really have is our being, right? And if you're religious, you have God, right? And some of you probably aren't. Some of you just have your being. And they vampirically suck at it and suckle every single crevice and every drop of our vitality, our life, all of it. Working. You have to work. Exchange your life for money. That money buys goods that you might not need, probably don't need. That money accrues debt. I have a degree in economics. I know how it works at a very high level, I guess. I don't know. But when you learn these things, you learn them from an abstract way. You learn them outside of yourself. You have to, because that's how, when you're learning 1 + 1 is 2, unless you're Terrence, the Terrence guy. Terrence, what's his name? Terrence, not McKenna. I want to say McKenna, not Terrence McKenna. You know what I'm talking about. The actor, Terrence Crawford. Is that his name? I don't know. When you learn 1 + 1 is 2, you learn 1 + 1 is 2, right? It's not 1 apple plus 2 apples. 1 apple plus 1 apple is 2 apples. You don't think about it like that. And just lately, ever since I had that conversation, it has just been in the forefront of my mind how it is absolutely vital to make this information as accessible as possible while still being able to provide for myself, but also to now ensure that to the best of my abilities, I will be giving answers what I see fit alongside the knowledge and the information that I'm imparting you with, right? So that is something that I really want to do, and something I really want to impart. But it's just been fucking with me, dude. Like the algorithm. Just a perfect example. The algorithm knows everything about. Somebody commented on the last video, and they said the algorithm knows me so well. It always suggests videos I would like. But sometimes it suggests videos to me that are so wildly out of character, I don't like those. And my response to that is, no, I think the algorithm knows you so well. It knows the side of you that you don't know. Right? It knows the shadow self. It knows that about you. And that's just one of so many examples of just every angle, every single angle, the enemy absolutely fucks you. And there's only one true way to constantly transcend all of it. Every time, right? There's only one way. And not everyone is a Christian. For me, it's Jesus. That's not going to be everyone's answer. And I think to give that as a blanket statement every time would be a disservice to the channel. Because I think in that way, it becomes thematic. It becomes something. It needs to be more nuanced, right? In my essay I wrote, The Meta Aeon of Lucifer, I talk about in this aeon of Lucifer where everything is truly suckling at your vitality, your life force, your being. It's all being vampirically stolen from you. Because it's the era of knowledge and of intellect. It is one of high intellect. The answer is it can no longer be what would Jesus do. It has to be two parts for the Christian. What would Jesus do, and why would Jesus do what he would do? Because if you know why, it will fundamentally change your entire perspective on the situation. Christ spoke in parables. And the reason he did so was because people were not ready for the clear-cut, true way in which he could truly express truth. And in that is the way in which sometimes when discussing esoterica and the like, you have to sort of approach it because there are levels to it. Not everybody is ready for everything. This is why the mystery schools operate the way in which they do, where information is partitioned off, right? But then again, who's to say? Who's to say that's how it should be? Right? And is that because if the information is too much, too soon, for too many, it falls on completely deaf ears? And then what? Right? I think the reality of what this aeon and this age that we are moving through, the reality of it is that esoteric information is going to become nomenclature. It's going to become known. People are going to just start to know this stuff, because the age of Aquarius that we're in, that corresponds with what we're in, right? The water that the Aquarius is pouring out is synonymous with knowledge. The water is synonymous with this knowledge, right? And so it's just going to be spread, so much so that things that I said years ago, example being, who owns Mr. Beast? There are just so many channels of people talking about this stuff that nobody understands where the information is coming from in the first place, which is beautiful. That's wonderful. And I think what I'm going to be doing is I think there has to be a way to reveal what the mystery schools know, the history of it, and the nature of what it is and why it is. See what I did there? And to disseminate that information in a way that can fundamentally propel those who want it forward in the ways in which they can harness their own being, and they can truly be individuals that are making the absolute most of themselves and their life, and of just the absolute blessing that life is. Even if you're not religious, life is the fact that you're you and you're not someone else. The fact that you are rather than you are not is just a miracle in and of itself. And I just think we are starting to face enemies that are so tricky and multifaceted, grandiose. And the only way, the truth is the only way through it. The truth is the only way through it. You know, I think a lot of this kind of moment I'm having, this is a total fucking freak out I'm having. I think a lot of this is from just, I was so sick yesterday. I was so sick. And I thought I was dying. I wasn't dying. Maybe I was. I was so sick, and I was just thinking to myself, when you're sick, you realize, Joe Rogan says this, when you're sick, you just want to feel better, right? And I think while I was sick, I was like, oh, my body, my carnal flesh is feeling what our souls and our spirits are feeling constantly. I mean, think about the spiritual implications of going on Instagram. You go on Instagram, you're met with advertisements for sex, advertisement for drugs, advertisement for alcohol, advertisement of just every single debauchery. I mean, it's just a fucking going on Instagram spiritually is like, I mean, it sounds so stupid, and I know it's stupid. I know it is. But the thing is it's not stupid, They tell you it's stupid. It's not stupid. The people who think it's stupid are the ones that look stupid to the ones who are doing this, right? You know, I don't know. I do know. I mean, if you watched the last episode I released, where the phone is your own personal daemon, right? If you watched that, you just scrolling TikTok is literally, it's literally you scrying magically. You're literally like, in the esoteric realm, that's what it is. That's what it is. And once you know that, you can't unknow that, right? And it's everything. It's just all of it. All the food is poison. The fucking food is poison. The media is all decay. You go in public. I went into a gas station today, and there was a little boy with no shirt on, with boogers all over his face. And the mom was disheveled and just paying for a Red Bull. She was getting it was like a strawberry Red Bull. And just, she had placed her phone and her bag and everything on the counter, just sprawled out. And just, it's every aspect. It's a complete psychological, spiritual war. And if you are not equipped with the knowledge to know this, you will die and you will not even know you're dead. That is the seriousness of this. It's one thing to die, right? In previous ages, in previous aeons, there was one reality. Reality was singular. There was no literal digital matrix, right? You were. And if you died, if you died in battle, you died and it's over. Now we have spiritual deaths where you're still living and you're a zombie, you're a zombie. You're spiritually dead. Alchemically, you are black. You are spiritually blackened. You've been decayed. Right? And then you try to inform people of this. And they think that they're right because why wouldn't they? You know? An example being the Joe Rogan video. Joe Rogan is mainstream media now. But because it doesn't look like mainstream media, people don't want to admit that it's mainstream media because then that means that they are closer to an NPC than they think that they are. So this becomes a cognitive dissonance in which they don't want to change or ponder. They double down and set up a trench on that hill and they live in it. Right? So that then becomes your job. Is once you have this information, once you start to learn these things and once you start to know, what are you going to do? Are you going to make a fundamental change? You know? There's something I've been thinking about recently that I've never thought about before, and I think it might be because I'm getting older. And it's like, for thousands of years, it has led up to me. All of my ancestors somehow survived, and somehow I have managed to be here. And they're all watching me. Am I going to be the one that fucks it up? I hope not. Because I've been pretty fucking close a couple times. I literally died of alcohol withdrawal. Literally died. And literally came back to life. I've completely turned my life around. But is that enough? Because a lot of people think that getting sober is enough. They think that, oh yeah, I got sober. I'm sober now. I fixed it. I'm fixed. When I was getting sober, I was living in these like sober living homes. One of them I paid like $1,100 a month to live in this room that was infested with black mold. I had a single mattress, and I had a room that was connected. It was a really weird room. It was like one big room, and it was just open, and it went straight into a bathroom. And everything was just wet all the time. It was just the way the house was. I don't know. It was an illegal sober living. The house manager was a sex addict who would have married women come over every night, and they would have loud tantric sex. And I worked at a sushi place, and I ran my podcast, the Couch Philosopher podcast. I recorded it in my car. I would do like 5 episodes a week, 15-minute episodes, just to do it. And people thought I was fucking crazy. And I probably kind of was. And then after that, I moved in with this hippie family for a while. And they were all smoking weed and doing mushrooms. And they had a son who was gay. Whatever. He was a drag queen. Whatever. He was very nice. And they would listen to the Grateful Dead. They were in a Grateful Dead cover band. And they would play Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. I know it's a Beatles song. But they would play fucking Grateful Dead, right? And I was like, still doing the Couch Philosopher podcast, just trying to be alive, trying to get through it. And I did. Then I moved out, right? And now I'm on this journey now. This is starting, people are starting to listen now. It's starting to become impactful. And that's good. Because it needs to be something that helps people. Because it's fucking rough. It's fucking rough out there, dude. My point with that story was that they're settling. I could have been, I got sober, and I was looking into being an electrician. I was going to be a gym guy. I was going to be a body gym guy, help people get in shape. Fuck that, dude. I was fucking homeless. You know? And if I had the money, I would make every single thing I do completely free. But I cannot do that. I cannot do that. And some of this information cannot be on certain platforms as well. So that's a massive part of it. People don't understand that. They don't want to understand that. I'm not just fucking I'm not just giving you cliff notes of a fucking Aristotle metaphysics book. This is years and years and years of studying, of experience. And now I have my own entire metaphysical, esoteric framework. And I'm literally in the middle of writing a book. And for the patrons, I'm going to try and make it free. I'm going to try and get everyone a copy for free. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but I'm trying my best. And this was just the product of just someone asking me like what I do, and I just didn't have like a punchy answer, you know? Because if I can't give a punchy answer as to can't even talk. If I can't give a punchy answer as far as what it is that I do, you can't have a punchy answer as to what it is you have learned. And I just hope I'm doing a good enough job, because I don't think that people understand how serious and how fucked it is, man. Your eternal soul is on the line. And before that, your human essence, your spirit, your human spirit, your vitality, what makes you you is on the line. And are you gonna be you, or are you gonna be what they want you to be? Because once you become that, everyone thinks you're an idiot. They think you're a fucking moron if you succumb. If you succumb, they laugh. And you won't even know it. And you become a statistic. They chalk another one up. And if I can just save like a couple million, I don't know. Yeah. You know, sorry if I'm being intense today. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at with this. This is where I'm at. This is where my soul's at. This is me being honest. My brand is truth. That's my brand. I did have an answer for that. What's your brand? Truth. That's my brand. And it always will be. I've always been candid. I've always been very forthright, you know, to the point where I've embarrassed myself, you know. I've overshared. I've overshared a lot. In fact, that's why I get in some of the predicaments that I get into, because I overshare. Working on that part. But, you know, I think what it is I really care. And I think, you know, when I was in college, right, and I started learning philosophy, and I was learning Nietzsche, right? And I know some people don't like Nietzsche, whatever. I do. I'm a Nietzsche. I consider myself a Christian Nietzschean. I've already explained how it's a paradox. I've already explained it. I've already talked about it. And the concept of nihilism was big. It was an existentialism class. And the concept of nihilism was a repetitious one. And I would always ask this TA that I had, is true nihilism ever, does it exist? Just a fucking, I'm fucking 19. I think me asking a question is smart, right? Does true nihilism exist? Truly not caring about anything, does that exist? And he would always say no. And I don't think that it can, because in order to be alive, it means you care. In order to feed yourself and to eat, it means that you care about your life somewhat. And if you're here, you care about yourself and your knowledge and your spiritual well-being a little bit more than the average person. So you need to take that to the extreme. Because there's nothing else. Nothing else matters. You being a vibrant, strong, intelligent individual who thinks for themselves and knows what they want and isn't tricked into anything that they don't want. That is the most important thing. It's vital. It's so vital. Because on the other end of it there's nihilism. It's pure nihilism. It's playing Nintendo Switch at 3 a.m. with Hot Pockets all around you, becoming a literal decayed nothing. You are becoming nothing when you do that. And I think why some of this is, hitting me, or why I'm feeling this way, is because lately I've been seeing people close to me fall victim to this. They don't ask questions. They're not interested in life. They just are there. And when you're just there, it makes no difference whether you're there or not. Because you don't even care enough. You don't even care that you're there. So what difference does it make? I had a conversation with someone who's very, very close to me, and they were saying things that were contradicting the most fundamental beliefs that they have, and they didn't even know it. They didn't even know. This person is like a super devout Catholic and was literally telling me, well, how can we trust the Gospels? We weren't there. And then I go to try to explain the idea of faith to someone who's been Catholic for 60 years. And roundabout, uninterested, nothing, no thoughts. Just someone who's been told something dogmatic that they believe forever. That's their life. And that makes me furious. Because that is not life. That's not a life. I don't know what that is. You will become unrecognizable to yourself to the extent that others will no longer be able to know you. And if you're someone who's questioning whether or not you're doing enough, whether or not you need to make changes, whether or not, in general, that's a good thing. Because it means you care a little bit. Right? It means you care. And I care. And I care. And it's really awesome seeing the comments on this channel and how cool people are. Usually the comments are very supportive. Interestingly enough, some of the most negative ones are Christians, which is a very funny paradox. Christians attacking another Christian because they don't understand me or whatever it is. That's kind of a lot what happened. It's kind of like what happened to Jesus, actually, right? Not that I'm comparing myself to Christ. I'm comparing my situation to one that he went through. Right? It's a very interesting conundrum. I think people, I've seen people say, whatever they say. And I had someone say something crazy to me. And so I actually responded. I shouldn't have, but they said, they were like, well, my discernment tells me you're not Christian. It's like, well, your discernment is retarded. You have retarded discernment. Your discernment is 70 IQ. I don't know. I digress on that point though. But the truth is here. The truth is here. The truth and the answers will be on this page, on this channel, on my Patreon. I'm going to try to start a PDF library on a website I'm building. Going to be upgrading all of the equipment. I know I've said that a million times over the last year, but we're finally kind of getting there. I don't know. My life, I don't know. You know, just remember, like, you can do it. You can do it. Be the best version of yourself. Why would you want to be anyone else? Why would you want to be anyone else? There's no one else to be. There's no one else to be. But I came up with an answer. So I have my answer now of what it is that I talk about. So let's see. I want to see what you guys think. I'm Izzy N. Griffin, a Christian mystic and musician who blends music, mysticism, and esoteric storytelling, using art, philosophy, and cultural critique to expose the hidden structures shaping our world. I bridge mysticism and modern culture to make an untamed sound with a voice that transcends the dying archetypes while destroying the spiritually vampirical cultural frameworks that hold us in place every day, with the hope that together we can build something anew. Got a little bit poetic there, right? Basically, this is a channel where I discuss the spiritual dimension to reality and pop culture that we don't really see, because it is there and it does exist and it's right. It's all around us. It's a dimension. It's another dimension we can't see. And I'm telling you, we're going to get real deep here. We're going to start getting really deep. We're going to start getting really deep because there's no other choice. There's no other way. There's no other way but forward and onward and through. There's no other way. And if you're going to be there with me, then fuck yeah, because I can't see anyone else fall off. I can't. I can't. So, yeah, I don't want to see any of you fall off like I saw. I don't want to see anyone else fall off like what I experienced recently. But I love you guys. Gave you this whole one for free, whatever. Go to the Patreon. Maybe there will be a part 2 to this. I don't really know. I don't know how I'm feeling right now. Yeah. God bless. God bless. You got this.